Have you ever faced that moment when a door slams shut, leaving you feeling like you've hit a wall? Maybe it was a job that slipped through your fingers, a relationship that ended abruptly, or an opportunity that vanished before you could grab hold. Rejection has a way of shaking us, making us feel small, unseen, or even unworthy. But what if that no you just heard is actually a hidden yes, a redirection towards something greater? Something you can't yet see? Today on Krathen, we're diving into a whole new perspective on rejection, inspired by the ancient wisdom of Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. We'll unpack 16 powerful ways to turn every no into a resounding yes for yourself. This isn't about tricks or pretending rejection doesn't hurt. It's about using that sting as fuel, a foundation to propel you forward. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you won't just handle rejection, you'll embrace it as a stepping stone on your path to greatness. Lesson 1: Ignore the noise. In life, rejection often arrives with an undercurrent of indifference, a feeling as though someone dismissed your value without a second thought. This kind of disregard can hit hard because it feels personal, as though you're somehow lacking. But when you really think about it, rejection is often less about you and more about the limitations or blind spots of others. Take Oprah Winfrey, for example. Early in her career, Oprah was told that she wasn't fit for television. Imagine hearing that. Someone looked at her and decided she didn't have what it took, dismissing her potential entirely. Now, we know Oprah as a powerhouse media icon whose influence is felt around the globe. But back then, she could have easily internalized that rejection, let it define her, or let it undermine her self-worth. Oprah's story teaches a critical lesson: when others can't see your value, it doesn't diminish you, it only reveals the limits of their perception. Often, the person rejecting you or overlooking your capabilities is operating within their narrow framework, shaped by biases, lack of vision, or a limited understanding of what potential looks like. Recognizing this can be empowering. It shifts the focus from wondering, "What's wrong with me?" to understanding that people's opinions are often confined to their own experiences and perspectives, which may have nothing to do with your potential. Instead of fighting to make yourself seen by those who don't value you, focus inward. Lean into your journey, the things that matter to you, and the people who support you. That energy, your focus, your commitment to yourself, is yours to cultivate and strengthen. This isn't about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving to yourself that your value isn't up for debate. Just like Oprah did. Let their rejection be a blip in your story, not the defining moment. Your journey has its own path, and the people who can't see your worth are simply not a part of it. Choosing to focus on self-worth rather than external validation is like setting the foundation of a fortress. Each time you encounter rejection, you can add another brick, reinforcing that inner strength. This doesn't mean you ignore constructive criticism or feedback that can help you grow. But it does mean you don't let dismissal or indifference from others dictate your self-esteem or sway your commitment to your goals. Consider this: when someone dismisses your talents or disregards your abilities, they often lack the insight to appreciate what makes you unique. They're too quick to judge, assuming they know what you're capable of. However, someone else's inability to recognize your value doesn't make it any less real. Your worth isn't a negotiation. It's an inherent part of who you are, shaped by your experiences, strengths, and passions. It's up to you to honor that by moving forward, even when others fail to acknowledge it. In choosing to ignore the noise, you're practicing an essential form of self-respect. You're saying, "I don't need your validation to know my own worth." This approach not only shields you from the sting of indifference, but also empowers you to invest in things that truly matter to you: your career, your goals, and the relationships that uplift you. Imagine if Oprah had let that early criticism dictate her future. If she had absorbed their dismissal and turned away from her passion, the world would have missed out on one of the most influential voices in media. But she didn't. Instead, she doubled down on her strengths and stayed focused on her journey, regardless of the initial rejection she faced. And that's the essence of true resilience, the ability to stand firm in your value, even when others fail to see it. In life, you may find that the more you excel, the more you'll encounter people who simply can't see your potential. This may be because they're looking through a different lens, one that doesn't align with your goals or vision. They might be trapped in their narrow understanding of success or lacking the imagination to envision possibilities beyond their experiences. It's easy to let their indifference feel like a blow. But the truth is, it's just a mirror showing you where their sight ends and where yours begins. Ignoring the noise doesn't mean you're indifferent or immune to hurt feelings. Rejection stings, and it's natural to feel that hurt. But by choosing not to dwell on it, you reclaim your energy and use it more effectively. Instead of ruminating on their oversight, put your energy into activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Whether it's a hobby you love, a new skill you're learning, or relationships that nourish you, focus on building a life that reflects your values and aspirations. Moreover, when you stop seeking validation from others, you allow yourself the freedom to grow on your terms. Oprah's journey to self-empowerment wasn't about gaining approval from the people who once doubted her. It was about staying true to herself, leaning into her strengths, and finding joy in her purpose. When you adopt a similar mindset, you're no longer giving others the power to define your journey. You're setting your own path, one that's built on a foundation of self-worth. Choosing to disregard the noise doesn't make you insensitive or detached. It makes you resilient. This resilience is what allows you to keep moving forward, even when faced with indifference. It strengthens your commitment to yourself and your goals, affirming that you are enough, regardless of others' opinions. It's a practice of self-love, one that takes time to develop but pays dividends as you become more confident in your path. Think of each moment of rejection as another step toward self-mastery. The more you build your inner foundation, the less likely you'll be shaken by others' opinions. Instead of shrinking in response to rejection, you'll find yourself standing taller, knowing that their inability to see your worth says more about them than it does about you. In a world that often values quick judgments and snap opinions, choosing to ignore the noise is a radical act of self-trust. You're asserting that your journey matters, regardless of the detours or closed doors along the way. You're building a life that reflects your values and aspirations, unshaken by others' lack of vision. And in doing so, you're proving to yourself that you don't need their acknowledgement to thrive. When you're able to ignore the noise, you're essentially saying, "I am enough as I am." This mindset doesn't only serve you during moments of rejection, it shapes the way you approach every aspect of your life. It's a form of strength that allows you to pursue your goals with clarity and purpose, unburdened by the limitations others may try to place on you. By focusing on what truly matters to you, you're not just surviving rejection, you're using it as a springboard to a richer, more fulfilling life. Ultimately, each rejection becomes an opportunity to reaffirm your commitment to yourself. It's a reminder to focus on your path and to surround yourself with people who genuinely see and value you. And as you keep building your life, piece by piece, you'll find that those rejections you once feared become mere stepping stones on your journey to something greater. Lesson 2: Calmness in the Storm. Rejection can trigger an internal storm, a clash of emotions that hits us right where we're vulnerable. Anger, sadness, frustration, all of these bubble up, urging us to react, to push back against the perceived slight. But what if, instead of letting these emotions control us, we chose calmness as our weapon? This is the heart of Stoic resilience, responding to life's most painful challenges with composure and grace. In a world where immediate reactions are often seen as a show of strength, calmness is a quiet rebellion, a sign of true inner power. Consider the example of Nelson Mandela, who endured 27 years of imprisonment, facing rejection on every level: his rights as a person, his freedom, and his very identity. In such circumstances, it would have been easy to fall into bitterness or rage. But Mandela chose a different path. He chose to respond with a calm determination that was as fierce as any protest. Every day he spent in prison was another opportunity to strengthen his resolve. Each denial of his humanity only fueled his sense of purpose, fortifying his spirit in ways that reactive anger never could. Mandela's approach teaches us that calmness isn't passive, it's an active, deliberate choice that requires immense strength. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. When faced with rejection, it's easy to take things personally. We often think, "Why me? What did I do wrong?" But in reality, rejection is often about circumstances beyond our control. By choosing calmness, we allow ourselves the space to evaluate the situation objectively rather than through the lens of hurt or anger. Stoicism invites us to question, why does this bother me so deeply, and is it truly the rejection that hurts? Or is it something deeper within myself? This introspection is crucial because, often, our strongest reactions to rejection stem from our insecurities, not the rejection itself. For example, being ignored in a work meeting might trigger feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt that have been lingering beneath the surface. Instead of focusing on the external rejection, we should turn inward, asking ourselves why we feel the way we do. Perhaps it's not just that we were overlooked, but that we doubt our own abilities. By bringing these feelings to the forefront, we can begin to address the root cause rather than merely reacting to the symptom. Choosing calmness over reaction doesn't mean suppressing our emotions or pretending we're unaffected. Instead, it's about taking a breath, pausing, and evaluating our response. It's recognizing that our immediate feelings don't have to dictate our actions. This approach not only preserves our peace of mind, but also builds resilience, allowing us to handle setbacks with grace. Calmness in the face of rejection signals maturity and emotional strength, qualities that not only benefit us, but also earn the respect of those around us. In a practical sense, choosing calmness allows us to maintain control over the things we can influence. When we respond with anger or frustration, we're often focused on things beyond our control, such as another person's perception of us or the outcome of a situation. However, when we choose calmness, we shift our focus inward, asking, what can I control here? We can't force others to recognize our worth, nor can we change every outcome in our favor. But we can control how we respond, how we perceive the situation, and how we choose to move forward. The strength found in calmness is not just an internal benefit, it impacts our entire approach to life. By mastering the art of calmness, we become better equipped to handle stress, criticism, and disappointment in all areas. We learn to approach each setback not as a defining moment, but as a temporary experience. Calmness helps us to see the bigger picture, reminding us that no single rejection has the power to define our journey unless we allow it to. It teaches us that our worth isn't tied to someone else's approval or disapproval. Rather, it lies in our ability to remain grounded, composed, and focused on what truly matters to us. In a culture that often equates loud reactions with strength, calmness is a rare and powerful asset. It's easy to lash out, to meet fire with fire. But calmness requires a deeper strength, one that comes from within. It's about having the discipline to hold back, to choose peace over turmoil, and to act rather than react. Calmness is not about being passive or detached. It's about knowing when to engage and when to let go. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Think of calmness as a protective shield, one that allows us to engage with the world without becoming vulnerable to its every whim. When we're calm, we're less likely to be swayed by others' judgments or swamped by self-doubt. We become centered, grounded in our own sense of worth and purpose. This inner balance is invaluable, especially when dealing with rejection, as it allows us to navigate the situation without losing ourselves in the process. In situations of rejection, calmness can also be a strategic advantage. People often expect a reaction, especially if they're being dismissive or critical. By responding with calmness, we disrupt the typical pattern, showing that we're unshaken by their opinion. This can be particularly effective in professional settings, where maintaining composure can set us apart. It's a silent yet powerful reminder to others that we're confident in our abilities and unbothered by their lack of acknowledgement. Calmness, in this sense, becomes not just a personal asset but a professional strength. In summary, calmness is a formidable tool for navigating the storms of rejection. It allows us to turn inward, addressing our insecurities rather than reacting to external slights. By choosing calmness, we reclaim control over our emotions and our responses, building resilience that serves us in every area of life. It's not always easy to stay calm in the face of rejection, but with practice, it becomes a powerful form of self-respect and self-mastery. Calmness in the storm is not just a reaction to rejection, it's a testament to our inner strength. A strength that endures long after the moment of rejection has passed. Lesson 3: Detach and refocus. Rejection, while painful, often holds a hidden potential for transformation. One of the best examples of this can be seen in the journey of Steve Jobs. When he was ousted from Apple, the company he had co-founded and built from the ground up, it was a public and personal blow. Many would have felt defeated, defined by the loss and consumed by the anger and betrayal. But Jobs didn't let the rejection break him. Instead, he chose to detach from the bitterness and shift his focus toward the future. In the face of a rejection that could have marked the end of his career, Jobs chose to redirect his energy into what mattered most to him: innovation and creativity. His time away from Apple wasn't wasted. In fact, it led him to new ventures, one of which was Pixar, a company that would redefine the animation industry and eventually become a powerhouse in entertainment. This period of refocusing was pivotal not only for Jobs, but for the technology and entertainment worlds as a whole. Through detachment and a renewed focus on his passions, Jobs didn't just rebuild his career, he transformed it. Years later, when he returned to Apple, he brought with him a wealth of new experiences and ideas, ultimately helping to make Apple one of the most valuable companies in the world. His story teaches us that rejection is rarely the end, it's often just the beginning of a new direction. Detachment is the first critical step in this process. When faced with rejection, our initial reaction is often one of frustration, disappointment, or even self-doubt. These emotions are natural, but if left unchecked, they can cloud our judgment and prevent us from seeing the opportunity hidden within the setback. Detaching doesn't mean ignoring our feelings or pretending they don't exist. Instead, it involves recognizing the emotions for what they are, then setting them aside so they don't dominate our decision-making. In Jobs' case, he could have easily let his anger toward those who ousted him fuel a desire for revenge or lead him to abandon his ambitions altogether. Instead, he chose to detach from the pain and focus on his goals. This act of stepping back gave him the clarity he needed to make strategic choices, ultimately leading him toward greater success. Once we've achieved some degree of detachment, we can then focus on refocusing, directing our energy toward personal growth and new opportunities. This redirection is crucial because it prevents rejection from becoming an anchor that drags us down, rather than dwelling on what went wrong. Refocusing allows us to ask, what's next? It's a shift in mindset that turns rejection from an ending into a beginning. By investing in personal growth, whether through acquiring new skills, exploring different interests, or pursuing passions, we create opportunities that might not have been visible before. Think about it. If Jobs had allowed himself to be defined by his departure from Apple, he would have missed out on the chance to build Pixar, which changed the landscape of animation. He also wouldn't have developed the vision and experiences that eventually made his return to Apple so impactful. Rejection, when approached with detachment and refocusing, becomes a catalyst for reinvention. It pushes us out of our comfort zones, forcing us to explore new paths and reevaluate our goals. This process of redirection opens doors to possibilities we may have never considered otherwise. The beauty of refocusing after rejection is that it brings a sense of clarity. When we shift our attention from the rejection itself to our own growth, we gain a fresh perspective on what truly matters. This clarity often reveals new passions or goals that might have been overshadowed before. For instance, Jobs' time away from Apple allowed him to see his creative potential in a new light, leading him to create technologies and platforms that would shape the future. His story illustrates that when we detach from the immediate pain of rejection and refocus on personal development, we're often able to tap into strengths and interests that we may not have realized we had. There's also a practical side to detachment and refocusing. After facing rejection, one of the best things we can do is immerse ourselves in activities that foster growth and fulfillment. This could mean reading books that inspire us, learning new skills that challenge us, or diving into hobbies that bring joy. These activities aren't just distractions, they're steps toward building a life that isn't defined by any single rejection. They help to reinforce our self-worth and remind us that we have value beyond any one setback. By investing time in self-improvement, we create a stronger foundation that can withstand future challenges. Refocusing after rejection also teaches resilience. Every time we choose to move forward rather than dwell on the past, we're building our capacity to handle adversity. This resilience becomes a crucial asset, allowing us to face future setbacks with confidence and a sense of purpose. Over time, we learn to view rejection not as a personal failure, but as a redirection toward something better aligned with our goals. Jobs' journey exemplifies this. Each setback taught him to adapt, innovate, and persevere, ultimately making him a more formidable leader and visionary. Another benefit of detaching and refocusing is that it allows us to approach future opportunities with an open mind. When we're weighed down by the sting of rejection, it's easy to become cautious or closed off, fearing further disappointment. But by choosing detachment, we free ourselves from this burden, allowing us to embrace new challenges without the fear of past failures. Jobs' ability to move forward after being ousted from Apple demonstrates this openness. He didn't shy away from new ventures or limit himself because of his past rejection. Instead, he embraced the unknown. And in doing so, he discovered new avenues for success. In a broader sense, the process of detachment and refocusing reminds us that our journey is not a straight line. Life is filled with twists, turns, and detours. And rejection is often just one part of that journey. When we learn to view rejection as a temporary setback rather than a permanent roadblock, we open ourselves up to growth. We begin to see that each detour is an opportunity to build new skills, gain new experiences, and strengthen our resilience. Ultimately, detachment and refocusing are tools that help us reclaim our power after a setback. When we're rejected, it can feel as though control has been taken from us. But by choosing how we respond, by detaching from the negativity and redirecting our focus, we regain that control. We decide that our future isn't defined by this single event, but by the choices we make moving forward. In this way, rejection becomes less of a blow to our self-esteem and more of a stepping stone on the path to our true potential. Steve Jobs' story shows us that rejection, while painful, is often an invitation to pursue something even greater. His experience serves as a reminder that when we detach from the hurt and refocus on our growth, we can turn even the most devastating setbacks into opportunities for transformation. Through detachment and redirection, we can forge a path that leads not only to personal fulfillment, but also to new heights of achievement. So the next time you face rejection, remember that it's not the end, it's simply a new beginning, waiting for you to explore. Lesson 4. Show your worth. Rejection is a harsh reality that can make us question our worth. But it's important to remember that rejection doesn't define us, it's simply a test of resilience. Consider J.K. Rowling's journey as a prime example. Her manuscript for Harry Potter was turned down by 12 publishers. A brutal series of rejections for any aspiring author. But instead of giving up, Rowling used each no as fuel, honing her story and persisting until she finally found a publisher willing to take a chance. That persistence ultimately led her to global success, with her series becoming one of the best-selling franchises in history. Rowling's experience reminds us that rejection isn't a dead end, it's a challenge to keep going, refine our craft, and prove our worth through action. When we face rejection, it's tempting to respond with frustration or bitterness. We may feel sidelined, undervalued, or dismissed, which can lead to a downward spiral of negative emotions. However, dwelling on these feelings only drains our energy and pulls us further away from our goals. Instead, a more productive response is to channel that energy into something constructive, something that showcases our strengths and proves our value. Rather than wasting time on what could have been, we can focus on creating new opportunities, just as Rowling did when she refined her manuscript with each rejection. In doing so, we take back control of our journey. Rejection, in many ways, is a call to action. It's a nudge to reassess, to look inward, and to decide how we want to move forward. We often look at rejection as a reflection of our inadequacies, but more often, it's an opportunity to grow. By redirecting our energy into a project or goal that highlights our skills, we turn that rejection into something productive. For example, if you're passed over for a promotion, use that as motivation to improve your skill set, take on challenging projects, or develop a unique expertise in your field. Instead of fixating on why you weren't chosen, focus on making yourself indispensable so that the next opportunity that comes around, you're not just a candidate, you're the obvious choice. One of the biggest lessons we can learn from Rowling's story is that the world doesn't define our worth, we do. Rejection often feels like a judgment on who we are. But it's important to remember that it's usually a reflection of circumstances, not a reflection of our intrinsic value. In Rowling's case, her rejections didn't mean her story lacked potential. They were a reflection of the publisher's limited vision or simply a mismatch between her work and what they were looking for at that time. If she had internalized those rejections, she might have abandoned her manuscript altogether, depriving millions of readers of a story that would go on to inspire and captivate generations. Instead of letting others define our worth, we must let our actions do the talking. It's easy to get caught up in seeking validation from external sources, but real value comes from within. When we put in the effort to develop our skills, pursue our passions, and contribute meaningfully to the world, we're not just proving ourselves to others, we're affirming our own sense of purpose. This approach requires us to shift our mindset from one of seeking approval to one of self-mastery and resilience. Each time we overcome rejection and keep pushing forward, we build an inner strength that no one can take away from us. Sometimes, A closed door is simply a redirection to something greater. We may not realize it in the moment, but rejection can lead us to paths we hadn't considered. Opportunities we might have missed if we were too focused on the original goal. Rowling's rejections ultimately guided her to a publisher who truly believed in her story and helped her take it to new heights. This notion of redirection can be applied to all areas of life. A failed job interview might lead us to a position that's an even better fit. A rejected proposal might push us to innovate and refine our ideas. Each closed door can be a reminder that there's something else out there. Something that aligns more closely with our skills, values, and aspirations. In moments of rejection, it's crucial to remember that our worth isn't determined by someone else's inability to see it. Just because one person or even several people don't recognize your value doesn't mean it's any less real. Rowling's experience with publishers is a powerful example of this. She didn't let their rejections diminish her belief in her story. Instead, she pushed forward, confident in her vision. This unwavering belief in oneself is a cornerstone of resilience. When we let our worth be dictated by others, we give away our power. But when we define our own value, we remain grounded, capable of withstanding the setbacks and forging ahead. Rejection can be a hard pill to swallow, especially when we've put our heart and soul into something. It's easy to feel as though we're not good enough or that we'll never measure up. But by redirecting our focus to what we can control, our actions, our growth, and our resilience, we turn rejection into a stepping stone. Rowling didn't stop at no, she refined her manuscript, honed her story, and kept searching for the right opportunity. This persistence paid off not only in her career, but also in her legacy. Her story reminds us that each rejection is an opportunity to refine, to improve, and to get one step closer to our goals. When faced with rejection, consider it a moment to reassess and realign. Take a look at your goals, your skills, and your passions, and think about how you can bring your best self forward. This doesn't mean you have to prove yourself to those who rejected you. Instead, you're proving to yourself that your journey continues regardless of setbacks. This shift in perspective allows us to see rejection not as a barrier, but as a challenge to become better, to reach deeper, and to push further. In the end, rejection is a catalyst. It pushes us to dig deep, to find out what truly drives us, and to commit to our journey with even greater resolve. J.K. Rowling's story is more than just a tale of persistence. It's a testament to the power of resilience and self-belief. She didn't let rejection define her, and neither should we. Instead, let it fuel us, inspire us, and remind us that our worth isn't up for debate. It's something we carry within us. And every setback is simply an opportunity to show the world and ourselves just how much we're capable of achieving. Lesson 5: The Power of Silence. Silence holds a remarkable power that's often misunderstood in a world fixated on quick reactions and constant communication. There's a certain dignity in choosing silence, a quiet strength that can communicate far more than words ever could. Mahatma Gandhi exemplified this strength, using silence not as an act of submission or passivity, but as a profound declaration of his values and resolve. His silence was deliberate, a clear statement that his sense of self-worth and purpose were not dictated by others' opinions or actions. Gandhi's approach reminds us that silence, when chosen intentionally, can serve as one of the most powerful responses to rejection or dismissal. When faced with rejection, our instinct is often to respond, defend, or seek validation. We feel compelled to justify our worth, to prove that we are deserving of attention or recognition. But silence offers a different path. It allows us to take a step back, to process the rejection without rushing to react. By choosing silence, we assert that our value is not dependent on others' approval. Silence in the face of rejection isn't about ignoring what happened, rather, it's about reclaiming our own peace, showing that our identity and self-worth aren't tethered to how others perceive us. In many ways, silence is a declaration of independence. It says, I am complete as I am. Your approval or disapproval doesn't alter my worth. When someone dismisses or ignores you, silence can be a grounding force, allowing you to maintain your integrity and dignity. It's a reminder to yourself and others that you're not easily swayed by fleeting judgments or opinions. By choosing silence, you conserve your energy, redirecting it inward rather than letting it be consumed by external circumstances. In a society that often demands immediate responses, silence can feel uncomfortable. We're conditioned to fill gaps with words, to explain or defend ourselves. But silence, when used thoughtfully, speaks volumes. It conveys self-assurance and inner strength. It tells others that you are secure enough in yourself to let things be. By not reacting, you're showing that you have nothing to prove and that your sense of self-worth doesn't hinge on anyone else's validation. This choice to remain silent, to sit with your thoughts rather than react impulsively, becomes a powerful act of self-respect. Silence is also an invitation to reflect. When we choose not to respond immediately, we allow ourselves the space to process our emotions, to understand why the rejection hurt, and to decide how we want to move forward, instead of letting anger or disappointment dictate our actions. We gain the clarity to act intentionally. This reflective silence fosters personal growth, enabling us to learn from the experience without letting it diminish our self-esteem. Moreover, silence protects our peace. When someone dismisses or rejects us, engaging in a back and forth can often lead to frustration, misunderstandings, or further hurt. Silence acts as a boundary, a way to say, I won't engage in anything that disturbs my peace. This doesn't mean we ignore what happened or pretend it didn't affect us. It simply means that we choose not to allow it to disrupt our inner balance. Silence is, in many ways, an exercise in self-discipline. It requires the restraint to hold back, to avoid getting swept up in the need to explain or justify ourselves, and instead to keep our focus on what truly matters. In professional and personal relationships alike, silence can be a powerful communicator. In a work setting, for example, if someone disregards your input or dismisses your ideas, choosing silence over immediate reaction can set you apart. Instead of arguing for your value, your calm silence can subtly convey that you are confident in your contributions, regardless of others' recognition. It tells others that you are secure in your role and unshaken by temporary setbacks. This kind of composure is often respected and can even prompt others to reevaluate their own actions. Silence is not about passivity or avoidance. It's about holding firm to your values, about recognizing that not every situation requires a reaction. When someone dismisses you, silence can be a way to avoid unnecessary drama, to keep your focus on what truly matters. It's a reminder that you don't need to be involved in every conversation or to respond to every slight. Silence gives you the freedom to choose your battles, to decide when and where your energy is best spent. One of the most empowering aspects of silence is that it shifts the focus back onto you. When we respond to rejection or dismissal with silence, we're telling ourselves that our worth isn't up for debate. We're not seeking validation from others. Instead, we're affirming our own value. This self-assurance can be incredibly freeing. We become less reliant on external approval and more grounded in our sense of self. In choosing silence, we reclaim our power, demonstrating that we are in control of our reactions and our emotions. In today's fast-paced world, where social media amplifies every interaction and reaction, silence can be a radical choice. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of immediate responses, to feel the need to voice every thought or defend every opinion. But silence, in its restraint, offers a different kind of power. It reminds us that we don't have to respond to every situation, that sometimes the most dignified answer is no answer at all. Silence, in this context, becomes an anchor, grounding us in our own values and beliefs rather than letting us be swayed by external pressures. Choosing silence in the face of rejection can also have an intriguing effect on those around us. In a culture where responses are often expected, silence can be unexpected. It can prompt others to pause, to consider why we didn't react, and to perhaps even question their own behavior. This doesn't mean we're using silence as a manipulative tool, rather, it's a natural consequence of choosing not to engage. Our silence can inspire reflection in others, encouraging them to recognize the impact of their words and actions. Ultimately, silence allows us to focus on what we can control, our own actions and reactions, rather than expending energy on things beyond our influence. By choosing silence, we're not dismissing the significance of what happened, we're simply choosing to process it on our own terms, in our own time. Silence offers us a space to heal, to grow, and to strengthen our sense of self. It allows us to turn inward, to find clarity in the quiet, and to reaffirm that our worth isn't defined by others. The power of silence lies in its ability to communicate strength, resilience, and self-respect. It's a reminder that sometimes the loudest statement we can make is through our quiet presence. By choosing silence, we embrace the belief that our value is intrinsic, unshaken by external opinions or judgments. This choice allows us to navigate rejection with dignity and composure, turning each moment of silence into a testament to our inner strength. Lesson 6. Prove them wrong for yourself. Proving others wrong can be a powerful motivator, especially when it's directed inward, as a personal challenge rather than a public spectacle. This is not about showing off or aiming to humiliate detractors. It's about quietly building something resilient within yourself, something that reinforces your capabilities and tests your limits. Elon Musk's journey with SpaceX is a prime example. When he first envisioned reusable rockets and affordable space travel, people dismissed him as unrealistic, even delusional. But instead of arguing back or seeking validation, Musk channeled that skepticism into his work. He refined his vision, turned criticisms into actionable improvements, and ultimately, let his success speak for itself. This is the essence of proving others wrong for yourself, not for them. When faced with doubt or skepticism, many people feel an instinctual need to defend themselves, to prove their worth through words. However, proving someone wrong isn't truly about convincing them in the moment. It's about setting a course to accomplish something so compelling that words become unnecessary. Musk didn't waste time debating with critics or seeking approval from naysayers. He focused instead on his mission, pouring his energy into turning his vision into reality. The silent determination in this approach sends a louder message than any retort could. Musk's success with SpaceX wasn't about triumphing over skeptics, it was about fulfilling his own belief in what was possible, regardless of public opinion. This approach to proving others wrong, by using their doubt as fuel, is a personal revolution. It's not about showing them up, but about surpassing your own expectations. It's easy to let other people's doubts erode your confidence, especially if those doubts come from influential figures or people you respect. But what if, instead, you use their disbelief to deepen your commitment to your goals? Think of it as a quiet, internal challenge. Let's see how far I can push myself. This kind of mindset shifts the focus from needing others to recognize your value to pushing yourself to recognize your own potential. When you take on this approach, you transform rejection and doubt into catalysts for personal growth. Each instance of skepticism becomes an opportunity to ask yourself, how can I improve? What can I do to make this vision even stronger? By redirecting the energy you might have spent defending yourself into refining your work, you elevate both the quality of your efforts and your own self-respect. You're no longer operating from a place of needing approval. Instead, you're driven by a desire to achieve your own standards of excellence. The quiet strength in this approach lies in its resilience, no matter what others think. You're building something solid, something real, based on your own values and vision. Proving others wrong for yourself isn't a quest for revenge or validation. It's a way of challenging yourself to grow beyond what you or others thought possible. Often, we impose limits on ourselves, believing we're only capable of so much. When someone doubts us, they unintentionally give us a gift, the opportunity to question those limits. By working harder, refining your goals, and building towards something meaningful, you often end up exceeding the expectations you initially set for yourself. It's not about meeting their expectations, it's about raising your own and realizing you're capable of much more than you initially thought. The beauty of proving others wrong for yourself lies in its internal motivation. There's no need for fanfare or public recognition. It's a personal endeavor, a commitment to yourself. It's about looking back at your journey and knowing you didn't allow anyone else's opinion to dictate your path. Musk's drive with SpaceX was never about proving the skeptics wrong on a personal level. It was about realizing his own potential, testing the boundaries of innovation, and reaching for goals that seemed unreachable. That kind of dedication doesn't just silence critics, it leaves them with nothing to say. Another aspect of proving others wrong for yourself is that it encourages continuous improvement. Each time you encounter skepticism, you're reminded to keep pushing, keep evolving, and keep finding ways to improve. You don't reach a point where you feel satisfied just because you've proven a point. Instead, you find fulfillment in the ongoing journey of growth. When your motivation is internal, rooted in self-improvement rather than external validation, you remain driven regardless of others' opinions. You're not bound to the approval of others, you're bound to your own standards, which makes the journey sustainable and rewarding. It's important to recognize that this mindset doesn't ignore or suppress the initial sting of doubt. Skepticism from others, especially if it's harsh or dismissive, can be painful. But rather than letting that pain linger, using it as a tool for self-improvement allows you to turn it into something constructive. Each doubt cast upon you becomes a stepping stone, something to stand on as you rise higher. Instead of letting others' opinions pull you down, you build from them, using every doubt as an opportunity to demonstrate your resilience and capability. Proving others wrong for yourself also fosters humility. It's not about being boastful or flaunting success, it's about maintaining a quiet sense of accomplishment. This inner confidence allows you to stay grounded. You understand that your journey is for you, that your achievements are a reflection of your hard work and commitment to your own vision. This humility also helps when you face future setbacks. You know that you've overcome skepticism before, not by convincing others, but by convincing yourself. Each triumph over doubt reinforces your belief in yourself, creating a cycle of self-reliance that doesn't hinge on external approval. In the end, proving others wrong for yourself is about redefining your limits and expectations. It's about taking ownership of your journey and building something that satisfies your own standards of excellence. The critics may come and go, but your commitment to yourself is constant. This commitment gives you the freedom to pursue your goals with passion and determination, knowing that you're not seeking anyone else's permission to succeed. You're not proving a point to the world, you're discovering your own potential. Elon Musk's journey with SpaceX exemplifies this mindset. He didn't need to answer his critics with words, he let his work speak for itself. And in doing so, he achieved what many thought impossible. Not because he needed their validation, but because he was driven by his own vision. This internal motivation is what makes proving others wrong for yourself so powerful. It's a journey of self-discovery, resilience, and unyielding dedication to your own goals. It's about showing yourself, time and again, what you're capable of achieving. Lesson 7. Find joy in adversity. Adversity is an inevitable part of life, and it often brings a desire to retreat, to shield ourselves from further disappointment. Yet, some of the most resilient people have found ways to confront pain and rejection by leaning into joy. They choose to find light in dark moments, using joy not as an escape, but as a tool to face adversity head-on. Consider the life of Robin Williams, known for his extraordinary humor and comedic genius. Williams transformed his own struggles into laughter that touched millions. Behind his quick wit and infectious energy was a deep understanding of pain. But rather than allowing it to break him, he channeled it into his art. His story teaches us that joy can be a profound act of resilience, a means of grounding ourselves when life throws its hardest punches. Joy, in times of hardship, isn't about ignoring the difficulties we're facing. It's about finding balance and making room for moments that remind us of our worth, our strength, and our connections to others. When we experience rejection, the immediate response is often one of withdrawal, a sense that we need to protect ourselves from further hurt. But what if, instead of retreating, we chose to pursue joy? Picking up a hobby, spending time with friends, engaging in activities that uplift us. These are not mere distractions, they are acts of self-preservation and resilience. In adversity, joy becomes an anchor, helping us remember that there is more to our story than this one setback. Imagine sharing a laugh with a friend or getting lost in a favorite pastime. Each of these moments serves as a reminder that life has dimensions beyond rejection. These joyful experiences reinforce our sense of self, showing us that we are not defined by a single failure or disappointment. Williams' life and legacy demonstrate this beautifully. His humor often emerged from deeply personal struggles, yet he used it to remind himself and others that even in difficult times, there's room for laughter and connection. Choosing joy is a conscious decision to engage with life, to remain active rather than passive. Rejection, in many ways, feels like a loss of control. Someone else's decision dictates our outcome, leaving us feeling sidelined. But by pursuing joy, we reclaim a sense of agency, engaging in something that brings happiness, even briefly, is a way of saying, I am still here, and I am still whole. This shift in perspective helps to prevent rejection from consuming us, allowing us to experience it as one part of our journey rather than its entirety. Joy as a response to adversity can also lead to growth. When we laugh or engage in something that brings us peace, our mindset changes. We become more adaptable, more willing to look at rejection as a temporary setback rather than a permanent reflection of our abilities. This approach opens us up to new perspectives, new opportunities, and even new strengths. Every moment of laughter, every instance of connection, is a reminder that we are capable of experiencing and creating joy, even when faced with hardship. In many ways, this practice builds resilience, enabling us to bounce back more quickly each time life challenges us. Furthermore, joy allows us to build a support system, a network of relationships that sustain us through difficult times. Adversity can feel isolating, especially when it's accompanied by feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt. But when we seek joy with others, by sharing a meal, spending time with loved ones, or simply talking things over, we realize that we're not alone. These moments of connection are vital. They remind us that we are valued, that others see our worth even when we may question it ourselves. Robin Williams often shared his humor with those close to him, creating bonds that were strengthened through shared laughter and mutual understanding. His life illustrates how joy, even in the form of a simple joke or lighthearted moment, can bring people together, fostering relationships that provide support when we need it most. It's also worth noting that joy doesn't have to be grand or elaborate to be meaningful. Small acts of joy, whether it's listening to a favorite song, enjoying a hobby, or watching a funny movie, can have a profound impact on our well-being. These moments accumulate, gradually helping us build a reservoir of positivity that we can draw on when times are tough. By incorporating joy into our daily lives, we create a buffer against the emotional toll of rejection and hardship. Each joyful moment adds to our resilience, equipping us to face future challenges with a little more strength and optimism. Choosing joy in the face of rejection is an act of self-respect. It's a way of affirming that we deserve happiness, that we are worthy of good moments even when things aren't going our way. Rejection can make us feel unworthy or inadequate, but joy counters that narrative. It tells us that we are more than any setback, that our value isn't diminished by someone else's inability to see it. By pursuing joy, we're not just coping, we're actively choosing to see ourselves as whole and capable, regardless of others' judgments. Joy also provides perspective. In the midst of adversity, it's easy to become consumed by what went wrong, to replay the rejection in our minds over and over. But joy shifts our focus. It allows us to see the broader picture, to remember that life is filled with highs and lows, and that no single moment defines us. When we engage in joyful activities, we step outside of our immediate pain and see our lives from a different angle. This new perspective can be liberating, reminding us that while rejection may hurt, it's just one part of a much larger, richer life. In essence, finding joy in adversity is about resilience. It's about choosing to remain open to life's possibilities, to seek out the good even when things are tough. Robin Williams exemplified this resilience, transforming his personal struggles into humor that not only uplifted him but also resonated with countless others. His ability to find light in dark moments is a testament to the power of joy as a tool for healing and strength. When we choose to pursue joy despite rejection, we're embracing this same resilience, proving to ourselves that we are capable of finding beauty, laughter, and meaning in every chapter of our journey. Ultimately, joy is more than a response to adversity, it's a celebration of our inner strength and our capacity to keep moving forward. Each time we choose joy, we reinforce our resilience, reminding ourselves that no setback can take away our ability to experience happiness and connection. It's this resilience, this commitment to finding joy, that carries us through life's challenges, helping us emerge from each one a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little more whole. Lesson 8. Build social capital. Rejection can often feel isolating, a reminder of missed opportunities or connections that didn't quite click. But in these moments, it's worth reflecting on the power of community and relationships. When faced with rejection, rather than turning inward and shutting down, consider it a nudge to reach out, to build relationships that enrich your life in meaningful ways. Michelle Obama's journey provides a powerful example of this. Her initiatives, from health and education campaigns to supporting military families, didn't gain traction because she sought recognition. Instead, they resonated because she invested deeply and authentically in the communities she aimed to serve. This kind of investment creates genuine connections and, ultimately, builds what we call social capital. Social capital isn't about climbing a ladder or seeking status, it's about building relationships that are founded on mutual respect, shared values, and genuine support. When we approach relationships from this perspective, we create a network that sustains us, especially in times of rejection or hardship. Michelle Obama's focus on community wasn't about personal gain, it was about giving back. About creating a ripple effect of positive change. Her work shows that when we invest authentically in others, we don't just help them, we enrich our own lives in ways that no job title or social status could ever replicate. True social capital is rooted in authenticity. When we build relationships based on who we are, rather than who we think we should be, we form connections that are deeper and more enduring. These connections aren't swayed by moments of rejection or success, they're founded on mutual understanding and a shared commitment to growth. Rejection, in this sense, becomes less daunting because we know we're supported by a network of people who believe in us, regardless of temporary setbacks. Building social capital also means recognizing the importance of shared purpose. Michelle Obama's initiatives resonated because they weren't about her, they were about something larger. She focused on issues that mattered to her community, engaging with others who shared her vision for a healthier, more inclusive society. By aligning herself with a purpose beyond personal gain, she attracted people who were equally committed, creating a community driven by shared goals. This is the essence of building meaningful relationships. It's about finding people who align with your values and working together toward a common good. When we approach rejection with this mindset, it becomes less about proving ourselves and more about connecting with those who genuinely support us. Instead of dwelling on who turned us away, we can focus on strengthening our bonds with those who lift us up. This shift in focus not only makes rejection less painful, but also opens us up to new opportunities for growth and connection. After all, rejection is often less about our own worth and more about a mismatch of values or timing. By seeking out relationships that resonate with our core beliefs, we create a support network that sustains us through all of life's highs and lows. The beauty of social capital is that it's self-sustaining. When we contribute positively to our community, we don't just receive support in return, we become part of a cycle of giving and receiving that uplifts everyone involved. By focusing on growth and contributing to the greater good, we cultivate relationships that offer strength, encouragement, and guidance. Rejection may still sting, but it becomes a fleeting moment rather than a defining experience, buffered by the resilience we gain from our connections. Building social capital also means seeking out opportunities to support others. Rejection can sometimes make us feel guarded, wary of further hurt. But by helping those around us, we shift our focus outward, moving beyond our own disappointments. When we support others, we're reminded that everyone faces challenges, that rejection is universal. This empathy deepens our connections, creating a network of people who are there for each other in times of need. Michelle Obama's work with military families is a testament to this kind of empathy. By focusing on the needs of others, she strengthened her community and, in turn, built a foundation of support that lifted her up as well. The relationships we build through genuine engagement and shared purpose form a safety net that softens the impact of rejection. When we surround ourselves with people who believe in our potential, we're better equipped to handle setbacks, knowing that our worth isn't dependent on one opportunity or one person's opinion. This network serves as a reminder that we are valued, that our contributions matter, even when individual doors close. Social capital, in this sense, is a buffer against the isolation that rejection can bring. A constant reminder that we are part of something larger than ourselves. Another key aspect of social capital is personal growth. When we engage with others who challenge and inspire us, we're pushed to improve, to reach beyond our current abilities. This growth isn't about competition, it's about mutual encouragement. True social capital isn't transactional, it's transformative. It's not about networking to get ahead, but about forming relationships that push us to become better versions of ourselves. In times of rejection, these relationships become invaluable. offering perspectives and insights that help us see setbacks as temporary and surmountable. It's important to remember that building social capital takes time and consistency. Relationships built on authenticity and shared purpose don't happen overnight. They require effort, trust, and a willingness to be vulnerable. But the payoff is profound. When we invest in our community, we create a web of support that reinforces our resilience. In times of rejection, this network reminds us that we are not alone, that there are people who see our potential and believe in our journey. Michelle Obama's initiatives exemplify how social capital extends beyond personal gain. Her commitment to community wasn't about her own success, it was about creating lasting change. By aligning her work with the values of those around her, she created a powerful network of support, one that resonated with people across diverse backgrounds. This is the power of building relationships based on authenticity and shared goals. They inspire not only ourselves, but also those we connect with, creating a ripple effect that strengthens the entire community. Rejection, when viewed through this lens, becomes less about loss and more about redirection. It can guide us toward people who truly appreciate and support us, helping us to build connections that are grounded in mutual respect and common purpose. Instead of seeing rejection as a personal failing, we can see it as a chance to refine our network, to invest in relationships that add real value to our lives. Ultimately, building social capital is about choosing connections that uplift and sustain us. It's about surrounding ourselves with people who encourage our growth and who stand by us through all of life's ups and downs. When we focus on building these kinds of relationships, rejection becomes just another part of the journey, a momentary setback rather than a defining moment. Our worth isn't measured by individual rejections, but by the strength of the community we've built around us. And in times of hardship, this community becomes our foundation, reminding us that we are valued, that we belong, and that we have the support we need to keep moving forward. Lesson 9: act as if they don't exist. In life, there will always be people who don't recognize our worth, who overlook or dismiss us. It's easy to get caught in the trap of trying to prove ourselves, hoping that if we just work a bit harder or explain ourselves a bit better, they'll finally see our value. But this approach often leads to frustration and drains our energy. Angela Merkel, former German Chancellor, exemplifies a different approach. Known for her calm and composed demeanor, Merkel didn't bend under pressure or waste time trying to win over those who didn't appreciate her. Instead, she acted as if they didn't exist, focusing on her work and on those who respected her contributions. This principle, to act as if they don't exist, is not about being dismissive or ignoring others out of spite. It's about reclaiming your energy, choosing to invest it in people and pursuits that genuinely matter to you. When someone overlooks or dismisses you, resisting the urge to win them over is a powerful act of self-respect. You're choosing to focus on the relationships and activities that enrich your life rather than on people who don't value your presence. There's a freedom that comes with not needing everyone's approval. The reality is, we don't need to be liked by everyone, nor do we need everyone's recognition to validate our worth. Instead of pouring effort into winning over those who ignore us, we can turn toward those who see and appreciate our contributions. By aligning ourselves with people who value us, we cultivate relationships that are rooted in mutual respect, creating a support system that reinforces our sense of self-worth rather than undermining it. This approach also has the practical benefit of reducing stress and frustration. Seeking approval from people who don't appreciate us often leads to feelings of inadequacy or disappointment. It's a cycle that's difficult to break because no amount of effort will change someone who has already decided not to see your worth. Instead, when you choose to act as if they don't exist, you're freeing yourself from this cycle. You're protecting your peace and focusing on things within your control. Angela Merkel's calm composure under political pressure is a perfect example of this mindset. In a world where politicians are often focused on appeasing everyone, Merkel remained steady, directing her energy toward her goals rather than attempting to please detractors. She demonstrated that there's strength in prioritizing your purpose and staying true to your values, regardless of others' opinions. Her approach teaches us that by focusing on what truly matters to us, we gain resilience, confidence, and a greater sense of fulfillment. Choosing to act as if they don't exist doesn't mean you ignore constructive feedback or refuse to engage in meaningful dialogue. It's about setting boundaries with those who consistently dismiss or overlook you, acknowledging that your self-worth isn't dependent on their approval. This boundary is an act of self-care, a way of respecting your time and energy. It's a reminder that you don't have to expend emotional labor on people who don't reciprocate respect or appreciation. In practical terms, this mindset encourages us to invest in relationships that are reciprocal and fulfilling. Surrounding ourselves with people who genuinely value us creates an environment where we're supported and encouraged. These relationships are built on mutual appreciation, and they provide us with the emotional sustenance we need to thrive. When we focus on such connections, we're less likely to be affected by those who overlook or dismiss us. Our sense of worth becomes reinforced by the people who matter, not diminished by those who don't. Acting as if dismissive people don't exist also helps us maintain our integrity. When we're focused on pleasing everyone, we may start to change ourselves, adapting to fit others' expectations. But when we stop seeking approval from those who don't value us, we're free to be authentic, to show up as ourselves without fear of rejection. This authenticity is powerful. It allows us to pursue our goals with clarity and conviction, without getting sidetracked by the opinions of people who don't have our best interests at heart. Another important benefit of this approach is that it helps us avoid unnecessary conflict. Trying to win over people who don't value us often leads to frustration and misunderstandings. By choosing to focus on those who do appreciate us, we sidestep potential conflicts and maintain a sense of peace. This doesn't mean we avoid all disagreement, but we engage in conversations and relationships that are constructive rather than draining. Turning toward people who see our value also strengthens our sense of purpose. When we focus on relationships and activities that resonate with us, we're investing in our own growth and fulfillment. We're not waiting for external validation. Instead, we're creating a life that aligns with our values and aspirations. This shift in focus empowers us to stay grounded and confident, even in the face of rejection. Angela Merkel's leadership is a testament to the strength that comes from focusing on one's purpose rather than on gaining universal approval. Her calm under pressure, her dedication to her work, and her resilience in the face of criticism all reflect a mindset grounded in self-assurance and clarity of purpose. She didn't waste time trying to win over those who didn't align with her vision. Instead, she acted with resolve, prioritizing her goals and the people who shared her commitment. Ultimately, acting as if dismissive people don't exist allows us to prioritize our mental and emotional well-being. It's a reminder that our time and energy are valuable resources, and they're best spent on people and pursuits that uplift and support us. This mindset helps us build a life that's fulfilling and aligned with our values. A life that isn't derailed by the opinions of those who don't see our worth. By focusing on relationships that genuinely enrich us, we're creating a support system that reinforces our sense of self-worth. In doing so, we affirm our value and build a foundation of confidence that no amount of rejection can shake. This approach allows us to move forward with purpose, unburdened by the need for everyone's approval, and fully grounded in our own sense of worth. Lesson 10: The Silent Treatment. For you, silence can be a powerful response, especially when we face situations where we feel dismissed or undervalued. The instinct might be to defend ourselves, to make our case, or to demand recognition. However, sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Choosing silence in these moments can be incredibly empowering because it shifts the focus from external validation to an inner sense of peace. Silence in this context isn't a passive act, it's an intentional choice to value your peace, dignity, and self-respect over anyone else's opinions or judgments. Silence is not about avoidance or suppression, it's about setting boundaries. When someone dismisses you, choosing silence is a way of saying, "I won't allow your words or actions to disturb my equilibrium." This boundary protects your emotional well-being, reminding you that you don't need to explain yourself to those who fail to appreciate your worth. By remaining silent, you're asserting that their approval or acknowledgement is not essential to your self-worth. This choice signals that you value your peace above any validation they could offer, emphasizing that your sense of self is not contingent on external validation. In a world that often equates quick, vocal responses with strength, silence can be a radical act. It challenges the notion that strength is about confrontation or proving a point. True strength, as this approach shows, can lie in restraint, in the decision to withhold rather than engage. When you choose silence, you're demonstrating a level of control that goes beyond momentary reactions. It's an exercise in self-mastery, one that allows you to process, reflect, and choose your next steps without being swayed by immediate emotions or external pressure. Silence also acts as a buffer against unnecessary conflict. Responding defensively can often lead to escalated situations, misunderstandings, or further hurt. By choosing silence, you're sidestepping the potential drama, protecting both yourself and the interaction from deteriorating. This isn't about pretending the dismissal didn't hurt or acting as though you're unaffected. Rather, it's about consciously deciding not to let that hurt steer you into a reaction that might compromise your peace. Additionally, silence has a unique way of shifting power back to you. When someone dismisses or overlooks you, it can feel as though they hold power over the interaction. But by choosing not to respond, you regain that power. You are no longer dependent on their acknowledgement. You are self-sufficient in your response. Silence, in this way, becomes an act of self-respect. You're acknowledging your own worth without needing their approval, standing firm in the understanding that their perception doesn't define you. This quiet confidence often speaks louder than words, signaling a depth of self-assurance that transcends the need for validation. Choosing silence also gives you time and space to process. Often, when we feel dismissed, immediate reactions are fueled by hurt or frustration. But by remaining silent, you allow yourself a pause, a moment to breathe and consider. This pause can be transformative. It creates room for self-reflection, helping you to understand why the dismissal affected you and whether a response is even necessary. In many cases, we realize that our initial impulse to react was more about defending our ego than about anything truly constructive. Silence provides the clarity to see beyond this initial impulse, giving us a broader perspective on the situation. This approach to silence is fundamentally about reclaiming your peace. It's a decision to preserve your mental and emotional well-being, to focus on what matters to you rather than on convincing others of your value. By choosing silence, you're affirming that your self-worth isn't negotiable. You're setting a powerful example of self-respect, one that shows others and yourself that you are complete without their validation. Moreover, silence as a response can sometimes have a profound effect on those around you. In a culture that often demands instant responses and loud opinions, silence can be unexpected. It can prompt others to reflect, to consider why you didn't engage or defend yourself. This isn't about using silence as a weapon or a tactic to elicit guilt. Rather, it's a natural outcome of choosing not to engage in a way that might perpetuate negativity. Your silence, then, becomes an opportunity for others to rethink their actions or words, perhaps even to see the strength in your restraint. Choosing silence is also a reminder that not every interaction requires a response. Often, we feel an obligation to respond, to justify, or to correct others' misconceptions. But silence frees us from this obligation. It's a conscious choice to prioritize our peace over the need to be understood by everyone. This is particularly valuable in situations where explanations would likely fall on deaf ears or where the other person isn't interested in understanding our perspective. Silence, in this case, is an acceptance that our worth isn't contingent on anyone else's comprehension or approval. This choice to remain silent is deeply empowering because it reinforces self-respect. When you choose silence, you're reinforcing the belief that you are enough as you are, regardless of others' opinions. This self-respect cultivates a stronger, more resilient inner life. You're building a sense of self that doesn't waver in the face of dismissal or misunderstanding, a foundation that stands firm even when others fail to see your worth. Silence can also serve as a tool for growth. By choosing not to react, you give yourself the opportunity to observe your own emotional responses. What triggered your desire to respond? What feelings came up when you were dismissed? This introspection can reveal valuable insights about yourself, helping you to understand your emotional landscape better. In many ways, silence becomes a mirror, reflecting your own strengths and insecurities, giving you a chance to work on areas that might need healing or growth. Ultimately, silence is a gift you give yourself. It's a commitment to maintain your peace and a testament to your self-worth. In moments when others overlook or dismiss you, silence reminds you that their validation isn't essential to your sense of self. By choosing silence, you're prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being, fostering a deeper sense of resilience and strength. This silence isn't passive, it's an active decision, a boundary that protects your dignity and reaffirms your independence. It's a quiet but powerful stance, one that says, I am enough, just as I am. Lesson 11: Self-validation. Self-validation is one of the most powerful and freeing forms of self-care. It's the ability to recognize your own worth, your own potential, and your own purpose, without needing the constant approval or validation of others. Vincent van Gogh is a timeless example of this. Despite his struggles, his lack of commercial success, and the overwhelming indifference he faced from society, he continued to paint. He didn't create to gain approval, he painted for himself, for his love of art. Van Gogh understood that true passion doesn't depend on external recognition. This act of self-validation is what enabled him to remain devoted to his craft even when the world around him failed to appreciate it. When you rely on self-validation, you free yourself from the need for others' approval. This doesn't mean you ignore feedback or never value outside perspectives. Rather, it means you don't depend on them to feel worthy or fulfilled. Self-validation creates a sense of stability, a steady foundation from which you can pursue your goals without being swayed by fluctuating opinions. For Van Gogh, painting wasn't about fame or public appreciation. It was about the sheer joy of creating, the fulfillment he found in expressing himself through color, texture, and imagination. In the same way, when we ground ourselves in self-validation, we focus on what brings us joy and fulfillment, regardless of external validation. Self-validation allows us to stay connected to our passions and purpose, instead of constantly adjusting our actions to meet others' expectations. We stay true to what genuinely fulfills us. This commitment to self is empowering. It creates a path that is authentic, one that reflects our unique vision and values. When you act from a place of self-validation, you're no longer driven by the need to impress or the fear of rejection. Instead, you're driven by a genuine desire to grow, to improve, and to fulfill your potential. This shift in motivation makes a profound difference. You begin to measure success by your own standards, valuing your own progress over others' opinions. In a world that often emphasizes external success, choosing self-validation is a radical act. We're surrounded by social media, performance metrics, and constant comparisons. It's easy to fall into the trap of seeking external validation as the primary measure of our worth. But self-validation offers an alternative. It redirects our focus inward, reminding us that our value is intrinsic, not conditional on others' approval. Van Gogh's story illustrates this beautifully. Even though he sold very few paintings during his lifetime, he remained deeply committed to his art. He wasn't painting for fame, he was painting because he loved it. His commitment to self-validation ultimately led him to create a body of work that, while unappreciated in his time, has since become iconic. When you validate yourself, you build resilience against rejection and criticism. Instead of seeing these setbacks as reflections of your worth, you recognize them as part of the journey. Self-validation gives you the strength to view rejection objectively, to learn from it without letting it define you. It's a tool that helps you bounce back, that keeps you grounded when others doubt you. For Van Gogh, the lack of public recognition didn't deter him. He continued to create because his validation came from within. This resilience, fueled by self-validation, is invaluable, especially in fields or pursuits where success is often slow or elusive. One of the most liberating aspects of self-validation is that it shifts your focus from chasing attention to pursuing purpose. When you're constantly seeking approval, your actions may become performative, tailored to please others rather than to fulfill your own aspirations. But with self-validation, you're driven by your passions. You're focused on the work itself, on the joy it brings you, rather than on how it will be received. This creates a deeper, more meaningful connection to what you do. You're no longer performing for an audience, you're engaging in something that truly matters to you. This sense of purpose fuels long-term commitment, making it easier to persevere even when recognition is lacking. Self-validation doesn't mean isolating yourself from others or ignoring feedback. It means being selective about the validation you seek. When you validate yourself, you can appreciate others' opinions without depending on them. You're able to listen to constructive criticism and grow from it without letting it shake your core belief in your own worth. This balance allows for both self-growth and resilience. You remain open to learning and improving, but you're not thrown off course by every piece of criticism or praise. Instead, you stay grounded, knowing that your value isn't up for debate. Moreover, self-validation is essential for authenticity. When you seek validation only from yourself, you have the freedom to be who you truly are. You're not adjusting your personality or values to fit someone else's mold. Instead, you're embracing your unique qualities, allowing yourself to be fully seen, even if not everyone appreciates it. This authenticity is powerful. It attracts people who genuinely connect with you and builds relationships based on mutual respect. For Van Gogh, painting authentically was a form of self-expression that went beyond commercial appeal. His art was an extension of himself, and he stayed true to it, regardless of whether others understood his vision. By choosing self-validation, you, too, can create a life that reflects your true self, unfiltered and unapologetic. Choosing self-validation over external validation is an act of self-respect. It's a commitment to honor your own experiences, talents, and goals. It's a way of saying, I am enough as I am. This confidence in yourself creates a ripple effect. It impacts the way you approach challenges, the way you interact with others, and the way you pursue your dreams. When you validate yourself, You're no longer reliant on external accolades or praise to feel worthy. Instead, you're grounded in your own sense of accomplishment, which is far more sustainable and fulfilling. Self-validation also fosters a healthier relationship with achievement. When you're driven by self-validation, you set goals that are meaningful to you, not ones that are merely impressive to others. You define success on your own terms, focusing on progress and personal fulfillment rather than on external benchmarks. This approach reduces the pressure to conform to others' expectations, allowing you to pursue a path that genuinely aligns with your values. For Van Gogh, success wasn't measured by sales or fame, it was measured by his commitment to his art, his dedication to improving, and his passion for creating. This internalized sense of purpose kept him going, regardless of society's lack of acknowledgement. In the end, self-validation is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. It's a source of strength, resilience, and peace. When you validate yourself, you're not constantly looking outside for reassurance. Instead, you cultivate a quiet confidence, a belief in your own worth that is unshakable. This self-assurance doesn't mean you won't face doubts or challenges. It means that you'll be equipped to handle them without losing sight of who you are or what you're capable of. Just as Van Gogh painted for the love of his craft, let your passions and purpose be the driving forces in your life. Seek fulfillment within yourself, knowing that the most meaningful validation is the one you give yourself. Lesson 12: Be kind, but keep your distance. Kindness can be one of the most powerful responses to rejection, dismissal, or hurtful behavior. Yet, there's an essential distinction between extending kindness and allowing others' actions to affect our peace of mind. When we experience indifference or even hostility from others, a natural reaction might be to either withdraw entirely or respond with defensiveness. However, showing kindness while keeping emotional boundaries can be a transformative approach. This balance enables us to maintain our integrity and self-respect without getting entangled in unnecessary emotional turmoil. Being kind doesn't mean sacrificing your peace or bending over backward to accommodate those who disregard you. It's about choosing a response that aligns with your values rather than reacting out of frustration or bitterness. When someone dismisses you, it can be tempting to try to win them over or to let their attitude affect your mood. But real strength lies in offering kindness without expecting anything in return. This kindness isn't meant to please them or gain their approval, it's for you, a reflection of who you are and how you choose to engage with the world. Keeping your distance emotionally doesn't mean cutting people off or becoming cold. Instead, it's about creating a space where you're free from others' judgments or expectations. You're able to interact with them without being influenced by their behavior or approval. This space is a boundary, a reminder that your emotional well-being doesn't depend on how others respond to you. Kindness with boundaries is like a shield. It allows you to engage without absorbing any negativity or stress from the interaction. Maintaining kindness while keeping your distance also fosters self-respect. It shows that you're not willing to compromise your peace or sense of self just to fit into someone else's expectations or appease them. You're choosing to be kind because it aligns with your values, not because you're trying to win anyone's favor. This distinction is important, as it prevents kindness from becoming a form of self-sacrifice. You're not giving parts of yourself away, you're simply extending respect while preserving your boundaries. This balance reflects inner strength, a quality that often commands respect from others, even if they don't explicitly acknowledge it. This approach also helps you stay grounded. Rejection, indifference, or dismissive behavior from others can be unsettling. But kindness with distance allows you to navigate these interactions without losing your center. Rather than reacting impulsively or letting negative emotions take over, you're choosing a response that keeps you in control of your emotions. You're not giving others the power to disturb your peace, nor are you allowing their actions to define your self-worth. This emotional stability creates a sense of resilience, one that allows you to remain calm and composed in the face of adversity. Being kind while keeping your distance can also subtly influence the dynamics of your interactions. When someone expects a defensive or frustrated reaction and instead receives kindness, it often disrupts their assumptions. This shift can sometimes prompt them to reconsider their behavior or attitude. While this isn't the goal of your kindness, it's a natural outcome. You're not reacting the way they might expect, which can lead them to reflect on their actions. But again, this isn't the reason for your response. It's simply a byproduct of choosing kindness over confrontation. This approach also nurtures empathy within you, even when others behave dismissively. Choosing kindness helps you to understand that everyone carries their own struggles, biases, and insecurities. By not taking their behavior personally, you're able to see them through a more compassionate lens, recognizing that their actions may stem from their own challenges rather than any reflection on you. This empathy, coupled with emotional distance, allows you to engage with others without absorbing any negativity they might project. Choosing to be kind while maintaining distance is also an act of self-compassion. It shows that you respect your own needs and boundaries, that you're prioritizing your well-being while staying true to your values. Often, people mistakenly believe that being kind means allowing others to have unlimited access to our time, energy, or emotions. But true kindness respects boundaries, both yours and theirs. This self-compassion ensures that you're not giving more than you're comfortable with, that you're not stretching yourself thin to please others. This balance between kindness and distance also guards against resentment. When we're kind without boundaries, we can sometimes feel taken advantage of or unappreciated. But when we couple kindness with emotional distance, we're less likely to feel these negative emotions because we're not giving more than we're comfortable with. We're setting limits that protect us from burnout or frustration. This approach keeps our kindness genuine, allowing us to give without expecting anything in return. It preserves the purity of our intentions, making kindness a gift rather than an obligation. Moreover, being kind but maintaining distance cultivates authenticity in your relationships. You're not engaging with people out of a need for validation or approval. You're interacting with them in a way that reflects your true self. This authenticity helps attract relationships that are mutually supportive, where kindness is reciprocated and boundaries are respected. You're able to show up fully as yourself, knowing that your worth isn't tied to how others respond. This authenticity fosters deeper, more fulfilling connections based on respect and understanding. Lastly, this practice of kindness with boundaries fosters personal growth. It teaches you to stand firm in your values, to show up as the person you want to be even when faced with indifference or negativity. By choosing kindness without compromising your boundaries, you're building emotional resilience, learning to stay true to yourself in all situations. This growth enhances your self-awareness and strengthens your character, making you more adept at handling challenges with grace and integrity. In sum, being kind while keeping your distance is a powerful way to engage with the world. It allows you to show respect and compassion without sacrificing your peace or self-worth. You're choosing a response that aligns with your values, creating a space for yourself that is both empathetic and protected. This balance not only preserves your emotional well-being, but also strengthens your inner resilience, enabling you to navigate life's challenges with grace, clarity, and a quiet confidence that speaks louder than any words could. Lesson 13. Don't reveal your struggle. In times of adversity, especially after rejection or disappointment, the instinct might be to share our struggles, to seek validation or sympathy from those around us. However, there is strength in choosing not to reveal every hardship. Keeping your struggles private is not about bottling up emotions, but about maintaining resilience, dignity, and focus on the solutions rather than the problems. When we don't broadcast our struggles, we retain control over our narrative, choosing to reveal only what truly serves us and keeping our energy directed toward overcoming challenges rather than dwelling on them. Take the example of former President Barack Obama. Throughout his presidency, he faced intense scrutiny, criticism, and challenges from all angles, but he rarely showed the stress or the toll that this pressure might have taken on him. Instead, Obama maintained a composed exterior, displaying calm and confidence even in the most difficult moments. This wasn't about suppressing his emotions, but about showing the world that his focus remained on the tasks at hand, not on the struggle behind them. By choosing not to reveal his hardships, he projected strength and stability, maintaining a calm presence that inspired confidence in others. This approach allowed him to handle adversity with grace, showing that he was undeterred by challenges, a quality that is often admired in leaders. Choosing not to reveal your struggle doesn't mean you don't feel the weight of it. Rather, it means you are prioritizing your resilience. When you keep your struggles private, you give yourself space to process them internally, allowing time for reflection and growth. Broadcasting every hardship can sometimes lead to unsolicited advice or negative feedback, which can increase stress and make the challenge seem even larger. By keeping your struggles to yourself, you create a protective boundary, allowing you to work through the difficulty without additional distractions or pressures from outside opinions. Another powerful example is Queen Elizabeth II, who maintained a composed and dignified public image throughout her reign, even during challenging times. Whether facing family scandals, political controversies, or personal loss, she displayed a steady resolve and rarely revealed personal struggles to the public. This approach not only preserved her privacy but also solidified her image as a resilient and unwavering leader. By choosing to handle her challenges privately, she demonstrated that her role was larger than her individual hardships. This silent strength is a lesson in resilience, showing that true power often lies in the ability to maintain composure in the face of adversity without seeking external validation. Keeping your struggles private also prevents you from being defined by them. When we share every challenge, there's a risk that others begin to see us only in light of our hardships. We become the person with problems rather than the person who overcomes them. By keeping struggles private, we retain control over how we are perceived, choosing to share our achievements, growth, and progress instead of the setbacks we face along the way. This approach allows others to view us as strong, capable, and resilient rather than as defined by difficulties. This lesson is particularly relevant in today's social media-driven world, where there is often pressure to share every aspect of our lives. Yet, the most successful individuals often keep their personal struggles under wraps, focusing on progress rather than setbacks. By doing so, they shift their energy away from explaining or defending themselves and toward overcoming obstacles. This choice reflects inner strength and commitment to their goals, undistracted by the need for public sympathy or reassurance. Another advantage of maintaining privacy about your struggles is that it allows you to focus on solutions rather than problems. When you share your hardships with others, it can sometimes lead to excessive discussions about the problem itself, which can feel cathartic but doesn't necessarily contribute to solving it. By keeping your struggles private, you direct your energy toward finding solutions, learning from the experience, and developing strategies to overcome it. This approach fosters a problem-solving mindset, encouraging resilience and growth instead of dwelling on the challenge. Keeping your struggles private doesn't mean you should never seek support. Trusted friends, mentors, or family members can be invaluable sources of guidance and comfort. However, choosing to share selectively allows you to protect your energy and focus on those who genuinely contribute to your growth rather than opening yourself up to everyone. This kind of selective sharing ensures that when you do reach out, it's intentional and supportive, not just a reaction to adversity. By not revealing every struggle, you also foster a mindset of perseverance. You're training yourself to rely on your internal resources rather than on external validation. This independence builds resilience over time, making you better equipped to handle future challenges on your own terms. You learn to trust in your own abilities, to work through difficulties without feeling the need to explain yourself to others. This independence is incredibly empowering, allowing you to face adversity with a quiet strength that speaks for itself. Another well-known example is Apple's Steve Jobs. During his life, Jobs faced multiple challenges, from health issues to being ousted from the very company he founded. Yet, he rarely publicly discussed his struggles. Instead, he focused on his work, channeling his energy into innovation and progress. This decision to keep his hardships private allowed him to be defined not by his challenges but by his achievements. Jobs' example reminds us that we can keep our personal battles private and let our work and accomplishments be what people remember about us. Ultimately, not revealing your struggles is about respecting your journey. It's about understanding that not every challenge needs to be shared, that some hardships are best faced quietly. This choice reflects maturity, self-respect, and a focus on growth. When you choose to keep struggles private, you're allowing yourself the time and space to process them on your own terms, transforming difficulties into lessons without the added weight of public perception. By keeping struggles private, you build an inner strength that isn't dependent on outside validation. This resilience allows you to move forward with confidence, knowing that your worth is not measured by the struggles you face, but by the strength you demonstrate in overcoming them. In the end, this quiet perseverance becomes a testament to your character, showing the world and yourself that you are capable of handling adversity with grace, dignity, and unwavering resolve. Lesson 14: Embrace patience as a power. Patience isn't just a virtue, it's a powerful strategy, especially in a world that's constantly pushing for immediate results. In times of rejection, setbacks, or delays, patience allows us to regroup, to approach our goals with greater clarity, and to make steady, thoughtful progress. Patience is about seeing the long game, understanding that worthwhile achievements often require time, resilience, and consistent effort. When we embrace patience, we're not just waiting passively, we're building a foundation for success that's sustainable and deeply rooted. A well-known example of patience in action is Warren Buffett. As one of the world's most successful investors, Buffett didn't amass his fortune overnight. His approach to investing is rooted in a long-term perspective, buying undervalued stocks and holding them over decades to allow their value to grow. Buffett once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." His philosophy exemplifies the power of patience. How measured, thoughtful actions over time can yield extraordinary results. By embracing patience, Buffett shows us that significant accomplishments often come to those who can resist the urge for quick wins and, instead, commit to a path with unwavering consistency. Patience also fosters resilience. When we understand that setbacks are part of any journey, we're less likely to be thrown off course by obstacles. Embracing patience allows us to approach challenges with a calm, measured mindset, instead of reacting impulsively or abandoning our goals in the face of difficulty. Patience reminds us that adversity is temporary and that progress is built through consistent effort. Nelson Mandela embodied this quality during his 27 years of imprisonment. Mandela held onto his vision for a free and equal South Africa despite years of struggle. His patience was not passive, it was an active commitment to his values, a belief that the change he envisioned would come in time. Mandela's patience wasn't about waiting idly, it was about enduring with purpose. A testament to how patience can fuel resilience and ultimately lead to transformation. Another benefit of patience is that it allows us to make better decisions. When we're in a rush or driven by impatience, our choices may be hasty, driven by short-term gain rather than long-term value. Patience encourages us to take a step back, to evaluate our options thoroughly, and to make decisions that align with our larger goals. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, is known for his long-term thinking. In the early days of Amazon, Bezos invested heavily in infrastructure and technology. Despite initial criticism and skepticism, his patience paid off, as Amazon eventually grew into one of the world's most powerful companies. Bezos' approach demonstrates how patience enables us to make strategic decisions that might not yield immediate rewards but ultimately contribute to sustained success. Embracing patience also cultivates a sense of inner peace. When we're constantly chasing quick results, we're often stressed, anxious, and easily frustrated by delays or setbacks. Patience helps us remain calm and grounded, knowing that we're moving forward at a steady pace. This sense of peace allows us to enjoy the journey rather than constantly fixating on the outcome. The Dalai Lama is an example of someone who embodies this peaceful patience. Despite facing exile from Tibet and witnessing the suffering of his people, he remains patient, advocating for compassion and dialogue over immediate action or aggression. His patience isn't about passivity, it's about maintaining a steady commitment to his values, allowing his path to unfold with grace and resilience. Patience, in many ways, is also a form of self-discipline. It requires us to resist the temptation of instant gratification, to delay rewards for the sake of long-term goals. This discipline strengthens our character, teaching us to prioritize what truly matters over momentary satisfaction. In the field of sports, Serena Williams is a prime example of this patience and discipline. Throughout her career, Williams faced numerous challenges, from injuries to personal setbacks. Yet she continued to train, improve, and stay focused on her goals. Her patience allowed her to overcome obstacles and to achieve success repeatedly over a long career, showing that persistence and patience go hand in hand. When we embrace patience, we're better equipped to handle rejection. Rejection, whether in a personal or professional context, can feel like a dead end. But patience reminds us that setbacks are often just part of the journey. Instead of viewing rejection as final, patience helps us see it as a stepping stone, a chance to reassess, learn, and try again. Oprah Winfrey's early career was filled with setbacks, including being fired from a television job. However, her patience and commitment to her vision eventually led her to unparalleled success. Oprah's journey shows us that patience in the face of rejection can transform obstacles into opportunities for growth. Another powerful aspect of patience is that it allows us to build lasting relationships. In a fast-paced world, relationships are often treated as transactional or superficial. Patience encourages us to invest time and energy into building genuine connections, to understand others deeply rather than seeking immediate gratification. This patience creates bonds that are resilient, based on mutual respect and trust. Former U.S. President Jimmy Carter exemplifies this approach through his work with the Carter Center, which focuses on peace and human rights. Carter's patient, compassionate approach has allowed him to foster relationships with people across diverse backgrounds, contributing to his impactful legacy. His example teaches us that patience in relationships can lead to profound connections and meaningful change. Finally, patience enables us to enjoy the process. When we're fixated on the outcome, we miss the richness of the journey. Patience shifts our focus from results to growth, allowing us to find fulfillment in each step along the way. This approach creates a mindset that values progress over perfection, making it easier to stay motivated and engaged even when results aren't immediate. Maya Angelou, the renowned writer and poet, worked tirelessly on her craft over many years. Her patience with the creative process allowed her to produce work that resonated deeply with audiences. Work that remains influential today. Angelou's journey reminds us that true fulfillment often comes not from rushing to the finish line, but from embracing the beauty of the process. In essence, patience is a quiet but formidable power. It allows us to approach life with calm, resilience, and clarity. When we embrace patience, we're building a foundation for sustainable success, one that isn't easily shaken by setbacks or delays. Patience transforms our perspective, turning obstacles into opportunities and helping us see the value in steady, thoughtful progress. Embracing patience doesn't mean avoiding action, it means taking action with purpose and clarity. It's about understanding that the most meaningful achievements often take time and that growth is a journey, not a sprint. Like Warren Buffett, Nelson Mandela, or Serena Williams, we can use patience as a tool to strengthen our resolve, deepen our focus, and ultimately achieve goals that are worth the wait. Patience, then, becomes a form of wisdom, a reminder that while the path may be long, the destination is often worth the journey. Lesson 15: Adaptability is strength. In an ever-changing world, adaptability is not just a skill, it's a necessity. The ability to adjust our plans, perspectives, and actions in response to new challenges is a powerful asset that allows us to thrive even in unpredictable situations. Adaptability means staying flexible, open to learning, and willing to pivot when necessary. Qualities that help us navigate setbacks with resilience. Embracing adaptability allows us to turn obstacles into opportunities and approach change not as a threat, but as a chance to grow. One of the most powerful examples of adaptability in action is former President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Diagnosed with polio at age 39, Roosevelt was left paralyzed from the waist down. This life-altering event could have easily ended his political career. But instead, he adapted to his new circumstances, learning to manage his physical limitations while pursuing his ambitions. Roosevelt redefined his life, maintaining his political influence and eventually leading the United States through the Great Depression and World War II. His adaptability in both personal and professional realms became one of his greatest strengths, showing that when we're willing to adjust our approach, we can overcome even the most daunting challenges. Adaptability also allows us to stay relevant. In business, technology, and even personal growth, change is constant, and those who are rigid often fall behind. Netflix is a perfect example of how adaptability can lead to continued success. Originally a DVD rental company, Netflix recognized the shift toward streaming and adapted its business model to meet this new demand. By embracing change and investing in original content, Netflix evolved into a media giant, outpacing its competitors and setting a standard in the entertainment industry. This adaptability wasn't just a business move, it was a forward-thinking approach that ensured the company's relevance in a fast-changing market. Netflix's story demonstrates that adaptability can be a key factor in sustaining long-term success. At the individual level, adaptability fosters resilience. When we're willing to adjust our goals or expectations, we're less likely to be discouraged by setbacks. Instead of viewing challenges as barriers, adaptable individuals see them as detours, as opportunities to try a new approach. Take Malala Yousafzai, for example. After being targeted and attacked by extremists for advocating girls' education, Malala didn't give up on her mission. Instead, she adapted to her new reality and used her experience to amplify her voice on a global platform. Her adaptability allowed her to turn a traumatic experience into a force for change, inspiring millions and advocating for education worldwide. Malala's journey illustrates that when we adapt, we can transform adversity into impact. Adaptability also fosters creativity. When we're forced to pivot, we're often pushed out of our comfort zones, compelled to think differently and explore new ideas. The COVID-19 pandemic, for instance, required leaders, businesses, and individuals around the world to adapt quickly. Many companies had to embrace remote work, leading to innovative solutions and changes in workplace culture. For many, adapting to these new conditions sparked creative solutions and new ways of operating that will last beyond the pandemic. This adaptability led to unexpected benefits, showing that flexibility in the face of challenge can foster innovation. Another powerful example of adaptability is Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. When Bezos started Amazon, it was an online bookstore. However, as e-commerce evolved, he adapted his vision, expanding Amazon's offerings and transforming it into one of the most versatile companies in the world. Bezos continually adapted Amazon's strategies to meet the changing demands of the market, embracing advancements in technology, logistics, and customer service. His adaptability wasn't just about staying competitive, it was about anticipating and shaping the future. Bezos' story illustrates how a willingness to adapt can create not only success but also legacy. Adaptability helps us develop a growth mindset. When we embrace change, we're more willing to learn, to take risks, and to view failure as a stepping stone rather than an end point. A growth mindset fosters resilience, enabling us to persevere even when things don't go as planned. Oprah Winfrey is a great example of someone with a growth mindset. Early in her career, she faced challenges and setbacks, including being fired from a television job. However, she adapted, learning from each experience and continually refining her skills. Her adaptability allowed her to evolve into one of the most influential media figures in the world. Oprah's journey shows that when we view challenges as opportunities for growth, adaptability becomes a tool for self-improvement. Adaptability also fosters humility. When we're open to change, we acknowledge that we don't have all the answers and that there's always room for learning. This humility allows us to approach challenges with curiosity rather than defensiveness, making it easier to find solutions and work with others. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates embodies this kind of adaptable humility. Over the years, Gates has transitioned from leading Microsoft to focusing on philanthropy and global health initiatives. His willingness to adapt his focus, learn about complex global issues, and dedicate himself to new causes illustrates the power of humility in embracing change. Gates' adaptability has allowed him to make a lasting impact far beyond the tech industry, proving that when we're willing to learn and grow, our influence can extend into unexpected and meaningful areas. Adaptability also enables us to stay calm under pressure. When we're adaptable, we're less likely to feel overwhelmed by unexpected changes because we're prepared to adjust. This flexibility provides a sense of control and stability, even in challenging situations. Angela Merkel, former Chancellor of Germany, exemplified this adaptability. Known for her steady and pragmatic approach, Merkel led Germany through numerous crises, including the European debt crisis and the migrant crisis. Her ability to adapt policies and strategies in response to rapidly changing circumstances earned her respect and solidified her reputation as a stable leader. Merkel's adaptability shows that when we remain calm and flexible, we can lead effectively, even in uncertain times. Ultimately, adaptability allows us to embrace change rather than resist it. When we approach change with an open mind, we're able to see possibilities that we might have otherwise missed. Embracing adaptability allows us to evolve, to remain relevant, and to thrive even in unpredictable circumstances. Like Franklin D. Roosevelt, Netflix, and Oprah Winfrey, We can use adaptability as a tool to turn challenges into opportunities, to remain resilient in the face of adversity, and to continually grow toward our fullest potential. Lesson 16: The power of consistency. Consistency is often the unsung hero of success. It's not flashy, and it doesn't yield immediate results, but its power lies in steady, sustained effort. Consistency is the commitment to showing up every day, to putting in the work, even when it feels tedious or progress seems slow. While talent and luck can be valuable, consistent action is what ultimately turns potential into achievement. One of the best examples of the power of consistency is Michael Jordan, often celebrated for his incredible talent. Jordan's true strength lay in his relentless dedication. Known for his famous quote, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Jordan practiced tirelessly, maintaining a consistent training schedule that pushed him to improve his skills daily. Even after setbacks, he continued to show up, putting in hours to refine his game. His consistency didn't just make him a great player, it made him one of the greatest athletes of all time. Jordan's story reminds us that even talent needs to be nurtured through consistent effort, and that dedication to daily improvement is what separates good from great. Consistency also fosters trust and credibility. In business, a brand that is consistently reliable builds a loyal customer base. Take Apple, for instance. Year after year, Apple delivers products that meet high standards of quality, design, and functionality. This consistency in innovation and customer experience has built a brand loyalty that few other companies enjoy. Customers know what to expect from Apple, which keeps them coming back. By maintaining high standards and delivering on its promises consistently, Apple has become synonymous with quality and innovation. This trust wasn't built overnight, but through a commitment to consistency that spans decades. At an individual level, consistency also leads to mastery. Repeated effort allows us to refine our skills, gain experience, and improve incrementally over time. Renowned cellist Yo-Yo Ma, for example, is celebrated for his exceptional musical talent. But his mastery didn't happen by accident. Ma has dedicated hours every day to practicing his craft. Even after reaching the peak of his career, his consistent commitment to practice has allowed him to explore new styles, expand his repertoire, and maintain his skill level over the years. Ma's story illustrates that mastery requires a consistent dedication to improvement, no matter how accomplished one becomes. Consistency isn't just about achieving external success, it's also a pathway to personal growth. When we commit to regular actions, whether it's exercising, meditating, or working toward a goal, we build discipline and resilience. Consistency in daily habits helps us develop a strong work ethic and reinforces a sense of self-discipline. Look at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, known for his intense workout routines and disciplined lifestyle. Johnson has built an incredibly successful career in both wrestling and Hollywood. His consistency in his physical training is well documented and has been key to his success. By sticking to his routines day after day, he has cultivated a resilience and drive that have propelled him to success in multiple fields. Johnson's story shows that consistent habits don't just shape your body, they shape your mindset and approach to life. Consistency also helps us build momentum. When we engage in regular, steady effort, our progress compounds over time. This cumulative effect is sometimes called the snowball effect. Small efforts made consistently can grow into significant achievements. Consider author J.K. Rowling, who faced numerous rejections before publishing the first Harry Potter book. Despite the setbacks, she continued to write, revising and improving her manuscript until she finally found a publisher. Rowling's commitment to consistency, even when faced with rejection, eventually led to the creation of one of the most successful book series in history. Her journey illustrates how small, consistent efforts can lead to monumental success. Another aspect of consistency is that it builds accountability to ourselves. When we set a routine or a goal and consistently work toward it, we reinforce our commitment. This accountability helps us stay on track, even when motivation wanes. Look at Serena Williams, who has maintained an extraordinary level of performance over her career through consistent practice and training. Her commitment to her routine and her discipline on the court have made her one of the greatest tennis players of all time. Williams' success is a testament to the power of consistency and how maintaining accountability to our goals can lead to exceptional achievements. Consistency also prepares us for setbacks and helps us weather challenges. When we're used to showing up every day, we develop resilience, the ability to continue moving forward despite obstacles. This resilience is invaluable in times of difficulty. Think of Elon Musk, whose ventures with SpaceX and Tesla faced repeated failures and financial difficulties. But Musk's commitment to his vision and his consistent effort to improve and innovate eventually led to breakthrough successes. His story demonstrates that consistency can act as a foundation, helping us to stay grounded and keep pushing forward even when things don't go as planned. Consistency requires patience, as results often come slowly. But this patience teaches us to value long-term growth over immediate gratification. The late Ruth Bader Ginsburg is a strong example of someone who embodied this principle. Throughout her career as a Supreme Court justice, Ginsburg fought tirelessly for gender equality and civil rights, often facing opposition. Her consistent dedication to her principles, even when progress was slow, contributed to significant legal advancements over time. Ginsburg's story reminds us that consistency in pursuing what we believe in can lead to lasting change, even if the results aren't immediate. Lastly, consistency builds self-confidence. When we make a commitment and follow through consistently, we build trust in ourselves. This self-trust enhances our confidence and reinforces our belief in our ability to achieve our goals. Oprah Winfrey, who rose from challenging circumstances to become a global media icon, exemplifies this self-confidence. Her consistent dedication to her work, her audience, and her vision have made her one of the most respected figures in media. Oprah's journey shows us that when we stay consistent in our actions and intentions, we build the confidence to overcome obstacles and reach new heights. In essence, consistency is a powerful force that amplifies all our efforts. It's the bridge between goals and achievement, turning small, steady actions into extraordinary accomplishments over time. Whether it's Michael Jordan's practice routine, Apple's commitment to quality, or J.K. Rowling's persistence in writing, the power of consistency is evident across every field. By embracing consistency, we not only achieve our goals but also cultivate discipline, resilience, and self-confidence. In a world that often celebrates instant success, consistency is the quiet but essential force that sustains true, lasting achievement. We've journeyed through 16 lessons, each a tool for transforming rejection into strength. These aren't just ideas, they're practices that build resilience. Every no you face is more than just an obstacle, it's a call to grow, a challenge to find the depths of your own worth, and to walk forward with a renewed sense of confidence, even when the world looks away. Take these lessons to heart, apply them, and let each rejection become a reminder of your inner power. Embrace the lessons, learn from every setback, and witness how they reshape your journey. And remember, resilience isn't crafted in moments of comfort, it's forged through adversity. Thank you for being part of this journey with Krathen. Until next time, keep turning those no's into the fuel for your greatest yes.